Alright guys, Pro R tore apart again, unfortunately. 600 miles on the second front diff. This one didn't grenade. First one did. Ripped the pinion gear apart, but I believe it was caused by the same things going on this one. Right here. This thing is loose. It's letting that pinion walk in that case. It's actually cramming it forward. You can actually see where it's been wearing on the case there a little bit. And you hear it growling too. So, you know, got a Pro R4 with a 22 front diff. Something to look out for. A lot of people have talked about these bolts backing off. Haven't had that happen yet. But, yeah, pinion gear seems to be causing me some issues. 2 of them at 600 miles. I think Polaris can kick their act together. But I guess not. Luckily my dealer is working on getting me the new upgraded front diff under warranty. But in the meantime, I bought this one so we could finish our ride at Windrock. Huge shout out to Car Corral, Polaris, and Flora. Taking care of us on that. They actually not only are they going to warranty it, they bought us a day of rental down there so we could ride till I got the parts to put it back together myself. You know, had some comments on Facebook, you know, at the keyboard warriors telling us don't know how to drive, need to be easier on it. Well, I didn't buy it to be easy on it, for one. Number two, I don't think the bearing hold down here is caused from not knowing how to drive it. You know, that's I don't think that's caused from too much right foot. And this diff, I didn't even run it in lock because I was wanting to save it the rest of vacation, so it took a little stress where it would slip on one side if we hit something hard. And it's just got 100 miles of what I call normal trail. I don't ride on the highway. Bought a Jeep if I want to do that. So a little rain in there. I don't think we need a coach. Maybe I do. But anyway, guys, if you got a Pro R4, you see some metal in the oil like I did, you're going to want to tear it apart before you launch that ring your pinion gear. Stiffs aren't cheap. This one I think will be alright. I'll take it apart and inspect it a little farther, check the play on the bearings, see if I put new bearings in it. Probably will. And then we'll be tightening everything down real good like the spec with some good Loctite. And these bolts here, not sure on that. I'm going to pull them out. They are still tight, but I've seen a lot of problem with that, so we may even clean these up and give her a little either red Loctite, or I've even seen some guys weld them. And we got a welder right there, and we ain't afraid to use it. Tired of having this thing apart. So alright, as usual, thanks for watching, guys. If you don't care, if you want to hit that like or subscribe or leave a comment, help us out. Trying to bring some more Pro R content. Also, still got some Wildcat stuff. If you guys like any of the Wildcat stuff, just comment, and we'll start putting some of that on here. Other than the front diff, you know, pretty like the machine. Got the L&W Fab rock sliders. Not super impressed with them. I mean, for what they cost, I feel like they should have held that better, but then again, maybe I'm just too rough on my stuff. I feel like most of you guys, especially the ones watching this, probably bought them to ride. But like this one here, I've pulled it out already, but it actually bent it in and pushed it all the way against this panel. And didn't really care for that. These things are like $1,400, so I feel like it maybe should have held up better. I mean, it does got some rash on it, but you know, that's what we bought them for, was to beat them off stuff. So, or not really beat them, but to keep from saving the side. Also, when I installed these, I didn't have to, but I had to take the whole floor pan out to get another bolt, so I just made another drain hole to get that in there. And then another thing on these, if you got the trail armor skid, even if they're trimmed, they're not trimmed enough. And then which I don't hate, comes to the bottom of this. So what I done instead of trimming them more was got some longer bolts for this outer edge here, and it just made it where they mount flush against the arm, or the tree kickers. And yeah, so that worked out all right. And it actually lets you get some of the mud out of here because you got a little bit of gap, you know, where you can rinse that out. But just something to keep in mind if you're going with the L&W Fab tree kickers and gonna have the trail armor skid. You know, I don't know if some of the other brand skids are the same. Kind of wish I just went with the wraparound trail armor skid like I have on my last two cats. You know, pulling this front diff, it's not super hard. You can do it, and if you're in a hurry, you could probably do it in an hour and a half or quicker. Take your time, probably about 2 hours max. If you're like me, you got the bumper here. Don't mind my little redneck holder there. It's just me by myself, so I done that. And then you just can take the 4 bolts with the mooring winch and take it right off. Really love this bumper. It helped us out when we blew the front diff. You can clevis right to it and shiv, and winch pulls really good. Big Warren Accent 55. But the front diff comes out the front, so you pull that bumper. The easiest way to do it to get your axles out is, you know, onto your tie rod end. Your upper A arm has to come off to get the mount bolts out. You don't have to undo the bottom ball joint. You can just undo the top, undo your shock, get your axles out of the way. And the reason the upper A arm's got to come off is because the mount bolts are behind the A arm mount, which, you know, kind of sucks, but it's not that big a deal. That back bolt on the passenger side's a little bit of a pain because there's no access hole to get the back head. Polaris did actually make it on the driver's side where you can get to it from the floor pan. It's got a little access hole. Wish I'd done that on the other side too, but there is a little more room on the other side. And you know, you can get right to this one on the driver. Like I said, one guy doing this, you know, probably an hour and a half to get it out. So not that big of a job. Probably the most difficult part, which has been a Polaris thing for a long time, is having that roll pin in the drive shaft, and you know, getting them out. Luckily, mine being only 500 and 600 miles now, not too bad to get out. When we was on the trails, well, it camped the trails, didn't have an air hammer, so you had to take out the old-fashioned way punch, and a hammer takes a little more time and harder to get. But you got one of these really stuck, just hit them with the old air hammer, and they usually pop it right out of there. Save you a lot of headache, guys. If you didn't know that trick already, you do now. So it's just a little update on the machine. I knew I'd said before we'd give you an update on them skids and the tree kickers, so that's kind of my thoughts on the tree kickers. If I had the 4-seater, I'd probably go with a brand that's a one-piece design. Now the trailing arms, those real happy with. I mean, this thing, you don't hit on the trailing arms. That's not an issue. They're built super tough. The only thing I wish L&W probably would have done was, you know, actually drilled and tapped for brake line holder bolts instead of these self-tapper screws. They work fine. I'm just nitpicking here. But these things, you know, can't beat them for clearance. Seem to ride good, hold up good. Like I said, the bottom of the skid plate's got more scratches on it than these trailing arms do, because they got the clearance, boys. I believe currently now they're probably the highest clearance arms on the market. So props to them for doing that. Toe link delete, kind of like that, less stuff to bend. So now if you're doing, I don't know, high speed dune stuff, not having the toe link, I'm not sure if that's a benefit for you or not. Unfortunately, here in the Midwest, we don't have that kind of riding. We are wanting to go out west and do a little bit more of that style of riding. So, another thing too, I don't really know what Polaris was thinking on some of this. So, you know, we've done the full service on this thing, engine oil. None of it's very hard to get to except for the front diff fill plug. It's pretty hard to get to. You need an 8mm with a ball end on the Allen. Get it out, but, you know, rear diff, front diff, they only hold like half a quart, which isn't crazy considering it's real gear oil. But the transmission on this thing, this is what was crazy to me. Transmission on this big old ProR with 4-cylinder with 200 and 25 horsepower. It don't even hold the full quart. It barely holds it. Yeah, not even full quart transmission will do. So, you know, these have got that clutch in there. Knock on wood. I haven't had any issues with that yet. So, but I feel like maybe if it had a little more oil cooling, could help it. I believe there is some covers and stuff in there that do have some extra cooling in them. And then I believe Mr. Kaufman's offering that clutch delete, which this bad boy's probably going to be getting this winter if we don't trade it off for an X3 or something. So, alright guys, thanks again. Thanks for watching. Hope you got a little bit of info out of it. I did do the Mts Limit straps. Really like that. They use the sway bar mount, and we are not running the front sway bar because we ride mainly eastern rocky style trails, and just lets that front end move around a lot more. So I just like it better. But those straps, really like them. Doesn't side load these shocks that are known to break the shaft. So props to them for coming up with something different. They're a little pricey, but you gotta pay to play, guys. Trail Armour stuff is holding up good as usual. So, alright. Have a good one, guys.